Everyone, we now have a microphone on Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta, my CNN colleague and also a Cuban American. I know your backstory, but
Sure.
Perhaps Stephen Miller was not aware when he was the whole back and forth with the green card. Jim Acosta, your questions were about, being surprised that you would have to speak English to come here. What the heck did you make of that exchange?
Well, you can be Cuban and cosmopolitan, Brooke. I don't know what to tell you. I think when the White House has to resort to insulting reporters in that fashion, and we've seen this time and again throughout the course of this administration, they're just really not advancing a terribly powerful argument. When somebody who is steeped in immigration policy knowledge, like Stephen Miller is, he worked for Jeff Sessions for many years. They're very much on the anti-illegal immigration footing, in terms of what their policy beliefs are, and some critics say they are very much anti-legal immigration. And what you're seeing from this policy proposal today here at the White House, when they put in the policy proposal, Brooke, that there's this preference for people who speak English coming into the country, my question simply was, well, what about what our Statue of Liberty tells us? Our Statue of Liberty tells us that we've welcomed generations of Americans over the course of our history. Many of those people, whether they came from Ireland or Germany or other parts of the world, Latin America, in recent times, those people don't always speak English. And so why is it that the White House is advancing a policy proposal that has this sort of English language speaking preference? You heard Stephen Miller say, well, when you're naturalized, you have to speak English. Well, yes, when you're naturalized, you're at the very end of the immigration process. And so I was simply just trying to press him on some of those questions as to whether this sort of goes against this tradition of immigration in this country, that we bring in all types of people, not necessarily people who are highly skilled, who are computer programmers, who speak fluent English. There are people we bring into this country from all walks of life, from all income levels, from all language speaking abilities, because we're the United States of America. You mentioned my father. My father came here 3 weeks before the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. He's 11 years old, didn't speak any English. He tells me the story about how, a teacher at his school in Vienna, Virginia, sat down with him and patiently taught him English as he was growing up here in Northern Virginia. I think this goes back to a problem that this White House has. Remember, when the president launched his campaign for president, he referred to Mexican immigrants as rapists and criminals. And that bias against Latino immigrants has just sort of infected the president, some of his top officials who deal with this issue of immigration throughout that entire time period. And I think you saw some of that spill out in the briefing room today.
Let me just remind everyone, we this as well from the Statue of Liberty. This was precisely your original point. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Jim, you brought up illegal immigration, but this whole proposal is about, the goal cutting legal immigration by 50%.
Sure.
Do you think it goes anywhere, or does it just fire up the base?
Well, you heard Stephen Miller say in his comments here, well, this is very popular in certain battleground states and so on. And so they do feel, and keep in mind when you go back, I covered this campaign. Brooke, you covered it as well. We were out there on the campaign trail in places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, that blue wall that President Trump is very proud of the fact that he cracked on election night. There are people in those states who feel as though they've been displaced unfairly economically in this country. And of course, it is going to be a very powerful message if you have the President of the United States constantly blaming immigrants coming into this country for taking people's jobs away. And does the president come out and say that emphatically, and does he say it overtly? No. But when you hear the president make some of the comments that he makes about immigrants during the course of the campaign, talking about deportation forces, and when you see Stephen Miller, a policy advisor to the president, talking about an English language preference for people coming into this country, it is a wink, it is a dog whistle to certain parts of this country that they are going to be looking at the racial and ethnic flow of immigrants coming into this country. I just think that's undeniable. And so I just wanted to remind him, this is what the Statue of Liberty says. This is what our tradition has always been in this country. We bring in people from all walks of life. It's what makes America great. It was already great because of immigrants in this country.
Jim Acosta.